Hi, hi all. Good morning, everybody. Let's get started now. So first of all, I welcome you all for ASP.NET MVC 6 course. And as you know, today MVC is the most important development option that we have in ASP.NET. And we will try to see how MVC can really give good development to us, and what is ASP.NET MVC. And throughout the course we will try to understand how MVC can give us an architectural or a better development methodology than web forms. Okay, so let me tell you a few things, as this is our first class and some of the attendees are new. So we'll be having the class at 5:30 every day, 5:30 a.m. IST. All right, and 5:30 to 6:30, and as we go on I'll try to increase the timings, but as of now 5:30 to 6:30 will be our class timing. And make sure you use your headphones to listen to the class, and make sure that you have proper setup of internet. You don't need anything, just the go to meeting details which we have given, and then a proper internet connection. And because we are on internet, sometimes suddenly you see a disconnect or any breakage, then please don't log off. Wait for 5 minutes, and make sure that by the time I restart you are again online. Okay, so because that happens frequently. Suddenly the internet gets disturbed, or the power goes, then probably you might not see me active there. Okay, so I hope you all know that. And we will be having all our sessions live with audio, and probably some of them with video also, at least one or two sessions probably with video also in MVC, at least we'll plan. So just make sure you have good internet connection. That's the only prerequisite for this. And make sure you have your microphone based listening rather than the speaker based. Okay. Setup, I think we have given you links where you could check all your setups and all. Fine. Okay. So you will be having a chat bar where you can type your chat messages in the form of queries. Just make sure we all understand properly that now when I'm explaining the topic, if you have any audio breakup or screen breakup, then anytime you can just put a chat message. Okay, but otherwise queries and all, if you want, just make sure that I'll give you queries time whenever I'm doing any topic. I'll once I'm done with that, I'll give you time for queries. Make sure in that time you ask me the queries. Otherwise, that will be in between distracting. But again, I repeat, in case the audio or the screen sharing is not clear to you, make sure you can just ping me as I am taking the session. Okay. All right. So what else to be intimated to you? Okay. So we are good numbers, maybe not so huge audience like Angular that we had, but we have a good number of audience here in a batch. So make sure we'll have one day an interaction where we'll start voice, audio, all the stuff to introduce each other. Because one of the things that we will plan in MVC is we'll try to plan some project also, which I'll be giving to you, and you all people can try and implement that project. So I think all the audience are there. Make sure everybody's here. Yeah, I have full attendance now. Everybody logged on. So every day, make sure that you are here by 5:30. Most probably I'll be on, and maybe a 2-3 minutes delay, but try to be here by 5:30 a.m. and we'll end by 6:30. Okay. Then okay, I think nothing else now. Let's get started now. Today's agenda is, let me just keep in. So today's agenda is, let's talk about what is ASP.NET MVC. So it's very important, many of you understand like what ASP.NET MVC is, how Microsoft is providing ASP.NET MVC. Probably most of us are today ASP.NET developers, but many of them are not aware like how ASP.NET MVC is provided to us, what are its versions, and currently what we are doing and what more we can do. All right. So today's class, I will be trying to give you two things only. One is what is ASP.NET MVC, and the other thing is we'll talk about architectural design patterns, what they are. Okay, we'll talk about architectural design patterns, right? So in case anybody new, this is how we'll be doing the audio and live interaction, and I'll be showing with Notepad, and then I'll be using Visual Studio, all that stuff. Hope a very comfortable environment. Okay, now let's get into ASP.NET MVC. So probably I'll be more, I told this will be the agenda, but here in my PPT, maybe I have more list of things like architectural design patterns, model view controller pattern, then web application components, the competition, then advantages, disadvantages, then ASP.NET MVC and its essentials. As I said, probably I will be taking 2 sessions to complete all these agenda, please. Okay, so it's very important for everybody who is trying to be perfect with ASP.NET MVC. You understand these strategies of working, please, or this basic introduction that we are talking today. It's very, very important. Now you should have very good idea about what these are, so that you are confident when you go to interview, and moreover you will be concept oriented rather than just by hearting the things, please. All right. Okay. So first we will talk about what are architectural design patterns, and then we will go to MVC pattern or ASP.NET MVC pattern. Okay. Let me go in order. Now first, what is architectural design pattern? When you talk about writing code, we are writing from years, lot of application development we are doing, and we are writing a lot of code to build our applications. Every developer is well versed today, like how you can write your code and then how to achieve their tasks also. Now, what are the design patterns actually are? They tell us how you can write your, how you should write your code and how you should implement your application. As a developer, I can write my code to achieve my task or to achieve my goal. I can write that, but how many of you or how many of us can guarantee that that code is best in standard? Okay, we cannot. uh, Today probably at your desks in the office you're writing a lot of code, but at the end of the day, if you ask how much quality code you have written, is always something that makes you murmuring in the answer. That means you're not very sure. Oh yes, I have done a standard coding, I'm sure. Nobody tells, no programmer tells. At least I never see any programmer confidently telling that honestly telling that, rather than confidently, honestly telling that, yeah, I have done coding in the best style or best pattern. There's so many reasons why programmers today do not write their code in terms of best standards. Some of them might not know, some of them might not have time, some of their project will not let them do, and some of the applications may not demand, may, you know, doesn't demand that particular type of coding. So it's not to blame only the developers, but it's all about the environment, it's all about the system and all that. But ultimately, uh, if you talk about developer or a client or a project or a stakeholder, anybody, what is happening is the code is becoming poor and the project life is going to be low, please. Now, what is the solution for this? How can I make every developer write code in a standard approach? Now, the only way that you can do today to make every developer write the best code is by asking your developers to write code by following a design pattern, please. I repeat my sentence. How can you make every developer today write quality of code, the best code, and the code which is going to make your application always the younger application, the newer application, is by just telling your developers to follow design pattern style of coding. Design patterns are not softwares, please. Design patterns are specifications. They are specifications which allow you, which tell you to write code in one particular fashion. They give you, hey, this is the way you need to write your code. All right. So every design pattern tells us how to write code. Now, MVC is one of the design pattern that we use today to write web application development code. The last 5 to 6 years, we have seen a lot of success in people who have built their applications using MVC. They have seen a lot of success. I'm not talking about .NET. I'm talking about MVC, and I'm not talking about ASP.NET MVC also. Most of the apps which are developed in Java, Ruby on Rails, which are developed in PHP, MVC based development, and which are developed in .NET using ASP.NET MVC, they all have seen a lot of success, and they all have seen that, oh, this is the best ultimate way of building, the web-based projects. So people have seen success. Projects have seen the success in building the apps with MVC. So the design pattern, any design pattern will give us how you need to write your code, which we need to understand and write code according to that, number one. The second thing is choosing a design pattern is also very, very important. It's not like blindly you just go adopt any pattern and start writing your code. Say, for example, probably I'm doing a Windows Forms application or a WPF application, which is a desktop application. Now you go there and then try to implement MVC there is not a correct decision, please. You need to adopt proper design pattern in order to develop the application. I repeat, a proper design pattern is very, very important. What design pattern will suit for our application is very important. You cannot simply just go and start using any design pattern. All right. Anyhow, that's not tough to you because today most of the design patterns, like let me read a few of the top design patterns today. One is MVC, one is a repository, one is dependency injection, one is MVVM. Okay, these all patterns are the most popular patterns today. And all these patterns are fixed for what they are very good at. So you need not really worry that will they fit your requirement or not, like that. You really need not worry about that. So as a developer today, oh, this fits my development, this fits my application, so I'll go with this pattern and build my app. All right. So MVC is also one design pattern, all of you, which tells us how you must write code for a web application, because MVC is suitable for MVC now, or MVC is suitable for web development, is what I want to tell you. So is MVC the only pattern that we have today? No, we have many patterns to build our apps, but MVC is one of the pattern that we use in the development today. All right. So let me just move and show you like many patterns that we have and what they are. But everybody, make sure I'm repeating, please. I'm repetitive. Day one, that please understand that design patterns are ready-made solutions. In short, again, I'm repeating, when you write your code based on design pattern will show success to you. All right. It's not your logic that is going to show success to you. The design pattern itself is going to show success to you, please. That's why it's always good that you write code based on design patterns. If you can see here a list of design patterns, I have so many design patterns today: factory, abstract factory, singleton, template, proxy, three tier, stateful, adapter, dependency injection. I told you so many patterns. So all these patterns are meant, either they are used directly as a major pattern for project development, otherwise they are used as a sub pattern in other patterns also. Okay, otherwise as a sub pattern I said. So these are the things that you need to understand, like, okay, all pattern based development is important. Then you can find list of all the patterns if you're very curious today, so to see, hey, how many patterns are there, where do I get patterns information. You can just keep this URL un.wikipedia.org/wiki. When you are listening to the webinar, you always have a small icon to take a screenshot of what is going on. So as any important thing is there, take a screenshot, a snapshot of the content, so that you will have all that URLs and all that. All right, so I think you're good with now that pattern-based development is better. Why? Because they will give us good solutions, right? Here is the MVC design pattern now. Let me move on to MVC design pattern now. Okay, what is MVC design pattern? Now this is the most important one for us. So first of all, set your mind that you need to write all your code in pattern style, please. Especially people who are already ASP.NET developers, you need to really push your mind to building your application in design pattern style. That's very, very important. Okay. Now, what ASP.NET MVC design pattern tells us, and what's the main objective of ASP.NET MVC design pattern? As you can see, it's one of the design pattern and it stands for model view controller. The main idea behind ASP.NET MVC is separation of concerns. Today in software development, separation of concerns has a lot of importance, please, all of you. Separation of concerns is the prime area of development today. Whether you go to Angular, whether you go to MVC, whether you go to web forms, anywhere, separation of concerns have lot of value. Every program that you are doing, you need to bifurcate that program or divide your code into separate layers, please, everybody, into separate layers. When I'm giving you time for questions, any of my terms you are not aware, please ask me. Don't continue if any term is not clear to you. But when I give you time for queries, keep writing them in your personal notepads so that you can ask me. Make sure the starting sessions, even a single small dot, you don't miss in my words, please, because that really counts. Now, MVC is a career, or it's something like you can get easily a good job today based on MVC. It's a a role, or it's your job title, I can say. So what is the main idea of MVC is MVC isolates the domain logic from user interface. You can see the separation of concerns, all of you. This pattern says that write your code, write domain logic, write user interface, and write storage, all of them separately. We will see in the course, don't be in a hurry. Just understand orally. Everything showing in code is my job. I'll be doing from basic. This is not like Angular where you are expected already to know about app. Here, completely from the scratch, I'll be telling you how you can build app, irrespective of you are already an expert or not. So what's the idea of MVC? As I told you, it's going to tell us write separately your logic, write separately your state, write separately your user interface, and separate every concern in your code. Concern means the requirement in your code, and then ultimately give the result to the user, which is not available to us when you go to ASP.NET web forms. When you are in ASP.NET MVC only, you will see this stuff. What's the benefit of this? There's so many benefits, please. Only in one day I cannot really show, but as we are doing programs, you will see many advantages of doing this in simple, in a big, in a short sentence, but tons of advantages. Is you will have independent development, independent testing, and independent maintenance of each. Now that's really awesome. I don't know you value that or not based on your experience, but you should have a development independently, doing your teams, where every team member would be able to develop your application, test their application, and then maintain that application without disturbing or without depending on other things. Now that's when you start writing your code based on MVC, you will be getting that benefit, all of you. You'll be getting that independent development, testing, and maintenance of every bit and byte that you write. MVC is very much specialized in giving you that separation of concerns. So you have to manually plan and build things when you are doing your what should I say, when you're doing your normal coding. But when you go to MVC, it itself gives you that separation of concerns and build your application. We will see that maybe in a couple of days, a couple of sessions that we do from now, we'll start working on how to do and what to do, all that. All right. So, but the main idea is that the pattern isolates domain logic, okay, from user interface, permitting independent development, testing, and maintenance of each. Let me just quickly ask you a question. Keep ready your chat screens. As a developer, everybody, all the attendees, hope you're awake, nobody's sleeping, just for fun. Let me ask you a simple question based on your experience. You are a student also, otherwise you are experienced also. I just want to ask you a query. If I'm doing an application, let's say I have a small app. Hope all are listening to my question. I have a small app. Registration page is there. As a developer, my requirement is I must build a registration page, take input from user, and then add it to the database. A very simple, common requirement, please. I need to do this as a developer. This is the task assigned to me. Now, to do it in the best development strategy, can you tell me, you have to, if you are a developer, you will first build app, or you will first test the app. I mean to say, uh, you will design the registration page, write all your code. After completing it, you will write the testing process. As a good programmer, we always want to test our code, right? Testing is now mandatory for every small and big code. So I'm giving you two choices to answer, all of you. Code and test is number one choice. First choice is I'm going to write all the code and then do the testing. Testing, okay. I run my code, it is running okay. Then afterwards, I perform testing on that. And the second choice I want to give you is, first I'm going to write testing code, and then I'm going to write my real code. So these are the two options I want to give you. So to make it easy for you to answer, my first option number one was code and test. Option number two is test and code. Which option you all will be doing? Everybody, based on your skill, I want you to try out this answer now. Come on. So I have good set of answers as usual. So somebody says, I need answer from all of you. Testing code and then write real code is what Dayanan says. First testing code and then real code. Test and code. Oh my God. First code and test, somebody. Okay, test and code. Then option two is code and test. Option two is right. Okay. All right. So I think a lot of people have given answer. Very good. So very nice to see that you all are aware that you need to first do test, and then you start writing your code. So I never get such a huge answers to first test and then code. Always I get many people start telling me, obviously first we will write code, then we will do testing. So it's really nice to see. The topic behind this is TDD. Okay, test driven development is what I'm trying to address here. Today we are not trying to write our code. Today we are not trying to write our code directly. Gone are the days where the developers are asked to directly start writing the code. Today, how we do, if you have a QA or if you have a test engineer, then probably your test engineer would be, your test engineer would be writing your test case. Everybody listen to me. Probably he would write a test case, and with that test case, if that test case, there is a process, we will see that we have TDD also in MVC. We writes test case, he makes that test case fail, then he refactors and then makes it success, and then explains that to developer, and then developer writes the code for requirement. This is a little old TDD, but the modern TDD is that there will be no QA or there will be no test engineer today. The modern TDD says that the developer itself should write test code first. Yes, all of you. That's the new thing. Probably you all should understand when you go to interviews also, the way you answered, please go that way. Very good, you told, really. Very well you said. So first, as a developer, today all developers are supposed to do unit testing, minimum unit testing you have to do. Probably integration testing, then UAT testing is probably done by QAs, or that also done by developers. So Very good. Test and code. Now that's the model of development today that we are going to do. So others who answered code and test, that's old now. So since 5 years, we are trying to do test-driven development, TDD. Now, test-driven development means, for those who did not knew this, please remember this. Test-driven development is you start your development process by writing a test case, which will definitely fail. You fail that, then you try to correct that particular test case which you wrote by writing your original code and make your test pass. And once your test is passed, that is your second stage, making your test pass. First stage is your test fails. Second stage is you should make your test pass. Third stage is refactoring. Take your passed test code, refactor, and then put it in your project. And that's the most robust code that we have today, please. That's the most richest code that we have today. And that code will never fail. It's not so easy that that code will fail, please. That code will sustain long, and you will not have any conflict with your developers, with leads, and with your teams, and no conflicts, no problems whatsoever. So MVC is such a pattern which really fits, which can be really hooked into this TDD development. Now, you as a developer, even you want to really go for test-driven development, your software should also support that. Your development process should also support that. But web forms, even you want to go for TDD, web forms doesn't support us to build the apps in TDD, please. We will see that why. If you're really a web forms developer and you really look for, hey, I need web forms development at any cost, means you will not have that good support of test driven development, please. Independent development option also you would not get, please. All right. So very good. And that's a good sign that you all are fit for rich MVC development, please. So test-driven development is one of our challenge today. Probably at the ending, I will be showing you how you can write test-driven code and how you can really make your. I will show you TDDs, please. Means I'll directly show you how you can write a test case. Probably not with any third-party tool, but Visual Studio and all itself has good testing environment. I'll be showing you how you can write a test case and build your applications. All right. Okay. So moving forward, I tried to give you a little idea of design pattern and MVC as one of the design pattern, and followed by all the benefits of going for design pattern, and a little bit about MVC design pattern means what. Okay. Now in the remaining time, let us try to see what MVC design pattern. We understood that it is separation of concerns. Now what we understand is, according to this pattern, how we need to write our code. Everybody, according to this pattern, how we must write code. Let's try to see that now. All right. So this is one of the important things, please, when you are going for an MVC. All right. Same thing I'll be showing you as we go on. Practically all that stuff, please. Don't worry. In one day, it's not like you understand completely all MVC design pattern is. So just keep concentrating on the notepad what I'm trying to show you. So what MVC tells us, first of all, I told you MVC is model, view, controller. What MVC tells us, every program or task that you get, every program or task that you get, you need to divide that program into model, into view, and then into the controller. First thing, everybody understand this. I don't know your capability and all, but just make sure now you get this theoretically, or what should I say, conceptually. If you get it, it is my job. Don't unnecessarily think now how to do. I will show you how to do this. So model view controller. Normally what you do, if you are given a task, you always write that program as one set generally. But when you talk about MVC, MVC says that you must write your program by dividing every program into three parts: model, view, controller. Okay, maybe the diagram and my point is clear, but let me also elaborate that every program should be divided into three parts. Now, that's what, again, the separation of concerns which I was telling you. What are those three parts? First thing is model. Let me quickly explain you that. First thing that we have is model. Okay, so now it's your job to understand each part is for what. Now, model, always the best way to tell is model is for state of the program. When I say model, it is state of the program. Remember, all of you, I am doing a program. As part of that program, I need to have the state. Now, what is state is not state management, please. State of the program here means that I'm trying to declare whatever data my program should store, whatever data my program should keep. For example, I am trying to do greatest of two numbers program. Now, when I do greatest of two numbers program, I require two variables to store two numbers which are given by the end user. Now, the two variables should be declared as part of model. That's what MVC says. It says you are doing a program, what data you want to use in that program. Try to put all that data in model part, please. So in other simple way, all variables, state of the program, I mean, is variables, types required for the program, all of them should be in the model. What should not be in the model? Many people mistake MVC, that they think that, hey, in model only we should write logic and all. What model should not have is, should not have logic. Okay, you should only have the declarations of your variables, but should not have logic. Let me make it easy for you. See, this is a simple one. As an example, what a model should be: int a comma b is a model. I can call these two as a model, something like this. Okay, you want me to show as a class, let's say great model, greatest of two numbers model. Then probably I might declare okay, something like public int eval, and then something like this. That's my model, all of you. You can see that's my model class. So a model is always state of the program, variables, types required. Now that's one example. The other example, let's say I'm doing a registration page, and registration page requires so many entries: username, password, phone number, email ID, country, state, all this. So what I'm going to do, class, I'm going to create one register model. All right, see, now that's very good, very easy. You can start from MVC here, all of you, please. So class register model, what are the declarations I'm going to do in this? Let's say I want to take username in my registration form. I want to take password in my registration form. I want to take email ID in my registration form. I'm going to declare all this stuff and call this as my model, because I'm object oriented. Everything I'm going to discuss as part of this particular thing. See, you can see there. All right, so all this is my model, please, my model classes. All right. So that gives you a very clear idea. People who can understand with the declarations, the statements which I gave here, or otherwise, if you can understand with the samples, also fine. So nothing, just your data that you require. So without model, you should not try to do your application. Always make sure you try to do your stuff with model, please. We have very bad habit of not using a model class. Something like, suppose you are trying to show employee table data as part of your grid view. Normally, how you do when you are working with ASP.NET Web Forms or anywhere, you just try to go to backend, get employee table data, and directly give that data to grid view. Now that's without model, a model-less code, all of you. That's poor coding. So what should be the coding, good coding style is go back to database, get the data, push it into model. Don't push it to grid view. Put it into model, and from that model you try to give to your grid view. That's the better standard of working. And another example, suppose you have a registration page, you create 5, 6 controls in registration page, then take all that data into um, your insert statement. You write, insert into registration or user values, directly pull all the control values and then send it to backend, is again poor coding. The best coding is take registration form, take all the entries, plumb it into model, put it in the model, and that model you have to send it to your backend, probably convert it to insert or whatever it is. Now that's what model based operations are. All model based operations are like that. Okay. So whenever we are doing it, then we have to make sure that everything is based on the model. All right. Next, what next? Model, I told you. After that, view. Just I'm giving you an initial overview today. Okay. We will work on all this practically, same things practically. That's my regular way. First, let you know what is the content or what is model view and all. So view is very simple. All presentation we will be doing in view. The entire presentation part we will be doing as part of our view. So any button, any text box, any label you want to create, then that all process we will be doing inside a view, please. Okay. View is very important because view is the place where we write our Angular code, jQuery code, and all that. And we will see lot of things that we can do in views. Okay. And coming to view is, I told view is more practically, it's a very vast one. Now conceptually, view is simple. All presentation. Now all presentation means, please remember, entire input output for the programs. Right. Then the third part is the controller. Now this is the place where all the logic of program is written. All logic of program is written as part of your controller. So a controller is the one which is really going to make sure that your entire view, model, and logic will collaborate with each other to give our required result. I repeat, the controller is going to take care of business logic. The controller will take care of collaborating your model with a view or view with a model. Listen, all of you, carefully these points. Okay. It's not only logic means, okay, always the business logic. Of course, business logic is my project logic, then collaborating. Okay. Collaborate all your model with view. Okay. View with model and whatnot, all other data operations, all other operations. So as the name, you can see that controller, as the name says, that it's the one which is going to manage all our application logic or application code controller is. All right. So you can see every small program that you do in MVC style, you must do all the coding by dividing it into all these three parts. Okay, it takes a while, maybe at least 5-6 days to totally come and see this practically, please. Okay, so what is that MVC is this? You know, what that MVC design patterns tell, all of you should know this theoretically today. MVC says that you must write all your code in model, view, and controller part, please. All right. Divide everything into this. And you can see now what each part of the pattern tells us to do. So most of you who are already in this style of coding your application, it's good. But you must also learn how you are going to do that in your MVC, in ASP.NET MVC, how we will do that. So this is in general MVC, all of you. So ASP.NET MVC is a framework. Probably I will tell you in the next class how ASP.NET MVC is given to us. Is a framework which allows us to build our application in MVC style. So don't get confused. MVC is not a software, but ASP.NET MVC is a software which allows you to build your application in the above MVC style, which I told you. All right. So that's a simple thing as a basic introduction I wanted to tell you. Two things only, please, not so many, just two things. When we start getting into our practical and start working as we go on, you will really see that you can see how we are going to utilize this all MVC in a more rich way, please. All right. So I'll be telling you more. I have 2-3 minutes of time to take your questions for the day, all of you. Hope everybody has the audio and screen sharing clear. I could see the visibility and all here at my end very good, and also at your end. Do you have any questions quickly now? I have less time because today is the first day, so I just want to take your queries, and when you come back again, we'll start with queries. Yeah. So hope all of you got what I told. I have few questions to answer. First one, can you please share the notepad in chat window? Okay, I think you can take a screenshot of the notepad what I have. Can you please? Yeah. You want me to put all these in chat window? That much is fine. Can we put? Okay. Then this is very important, please. So what is domain logic? See, domain logic is basically if I'm doing my application, which is something like online shopping. So domain logic is nothing but my shopping cart logic. Let's say I'm building a small program to do a shopping cart. Then how you are going to implement your shopping cart logic is my domain logic. Domain logic is nothing but my task. What is my task? For that task, how I'm going to do. That's only my domain logic. So business logic, what I said, is also as of now the domain logic. Nothing so complex or something different entity like that. It's part of my code and all. Next. Okay, so I think today you got some idea. It's not to feed everything about MVC to you, but some little idea you might have got. Now tomorrow we will see how you can really make how ASP.NET MVC is provided by Microsoft, and how ASP.NET makes us develop MVC application. So this was only to tell you two things. Design pattern is the best way to build apps, 100%. Okay, no need to doubt on that. Number one. Second is Second is how you are going to write your code in MVC pattern. All right. Okay. So where are we establishing the database connections, model or controller? Definitely in controller. So we have a question, where are we establishing database connections, either in model or controller? So answer is we have to establish connections in controllers, all of you, not in model. All right. So we'll log off for the day because as I have my Angular session followed by this, tomorrow at 5:30 we'll log in. We'll have more better idea. Okay. So now you're well versed. Just make sure you're active in the session, please. MVC requires a lot of good involvement, and it's very good that you will really improvise your developer skill when you start working with ASP.NET MVC. Believe me, really improvise your general skills also. So just be active participants as you are today. So tomorrow we'll log on at 5:30, all of you. Okay. Thank you for the day. We'll meet tomorrow morning at 5:30. Okay. All right then. Bye bye for the day.